ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਐਲਕ ਗਰੋਵ ਦੀ ਮੇਅਰ ਬੌਬੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਐਲਨ ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਥੀਨ ਹੋ ਉਹ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਸੈਕਰਾਮੈਂਟੋ ਕਾਉਂਟੀ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਅਟਾਰਨੀ ਦੀ ਆਫਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤਾਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ So Thien, welcome to Punjab Mail USA, and we want to thank Gurjatinder and Randhawa ji for hosting today's interview.
Such a call.
Such a call. Thank
you so much for having me here on the show. I really appreciate it, and thank you so much for hosting and asking the questions.
Absolutely. So Thien, you are running for district attorney. Tell us about how you decided to run.
Well, how I decided to run is this. I want to tell a little bit about my background story. I was born in Vietnam, and what happened was in 1976, my family and I escaped communist Vietnam on a fishing boat. The year before, when the communists came in, they arrested my uncle without a judge, without a jury, without a prosecutor. They sent him to a re-education camp where he was tortured for 7 years. And so in 1976, my family and I escaped on a tiny fishing boat. Ran out of gas, ran out of food, ran out of water. We were just drifting on the ocean in the South China Sea and were rescued and taken to a refugee camp. So like many immigrants, we came to this country with nothing but the clothes on our back, slept on a mattress somebody threw away, had to learn English from watching cartoons and going to ESL class. 22 years later, graduated from law school. And I'm running for DA because our community deserved to have a seasoned veteran prosecutor at the helm to make sure that we're safe. Safe where we live, safe where we raise our children, safe where we work, safe for our elders from hate crimes and other incidents as well.
Thank you. Great answers. And, you know, as an immigrant myself, I really relate to your story. And I know our viewers, who are all immigrants for the most part, either first generation or second generation, can relate to your story of your journey coming to America and making this home. So tell me a little bit about your sort of interaction and engagement with our Indian American community. I know you've gone to our gurdwaras and you know a lot about different issues that we are concerned with. And I know a lot of us that are business owners, we're very concerned about crime.
Most definitely. So I've been to the temple, I've worked in the community, you know, with you, Bobbie, and with so many other in the Sikh and Indian community. One of the things that really affect our businesses is theft and homelessness and violent crime. So for example, Sikh Americans own many businesses, from gas stations to liquor stores to many other businesses and hotels. And you are suffering greatly, not only during the pandemic, but during this period of time when there's been an increase in violence. So we work in our community prosecution team that I oversee to make sure that when problems arise, whether it's at the liquor store, whether it's at the gas station, the hotel, in our businesses, that we make sure that the DA's office is responsive and law enforcement is responsive to make sure that you are safe to run your business from those who want to steal from you or attack you or hurt you or take away from your business.
Thank you. You know, Sikh Americans are often targeted with hate crimes. Can you share a little bit about your experience with hate crimes and what we should be doing as a community, because it's often underreported?
Absolutely. So I actually prosecuted hate crimes. And in fact, several years ago, I was the supervisor of the hate crime unit at the DA's office. We actually have a unit that specializes in it. I've taught police officers. I've also given training to our community members. And there's a difference between a hate crime and a hate incident. Let me give you that example that I think our viewers need to know.
Yeah.
So my niece was walking down the street, and what happened was a white person in a pickup truck drove up next to her, started asking her, "Where are you from? What ethnicity are you?" She said she was Vietnamese. And at which point he said, "Because of you and the virus, my children's lives have been ruined." It scared my niece. And then the man drove away. He never threatened her. He never stopped her from moving. He never attacked her physically. That is a hate incident. Versus a hate crime is where you have a crime that occurs, and that crime is motivated by an animosity that the person have towards a protected class. Perhaps somebody who's Sikh or Asian or somebody who is African American. And so what happens is, if the man had driven up, made those comments to my niece and then attacked her by hitting her or pushing her to the ground, that would be a hate crime. What's important for all of us to understand is this: whether it's a hate incident or a hate crime, you need to call the police. Why? When you call the police, they will come and find that person. They will intercept that person, maybe stop them from committing the hate crime. Or if they commit a crime later where they come up to somebody and push them down who happens to be Asian, then we can take the facts of that first incident and use that to show that the second incident is a hate crime because it's motivated by the animosity. Call the police.
Yes, thank you. And you know, the Sikh community, of course, knows about this firsthand, with not just the anti-Asian sentiments, unfortunately, that have spread across the United States, but whenever there's an incident that happens in the Middle East, our Sikh community often pay the price for that, with misidentity, misconceptions, mistaking us for our Muslim brothers and sisters. And so we really know about this firsthand. And I know even within the Sikh community, not everybody is reporting the incidents or even the crime. And it is important to speak up and speak out. Absolutely. So that you can do your job as a prosecutor.
Absolutely. Especially after I know 9/11, there were so many incidences where Sikh Americans were targeted, were killed, were attacked. And so we need to put an end to that through education, but also through accountability, where we hold people who commit those crimes accountable.
So the district attorney, Anne-Marie Schubert, is obviously running for a different seat. And so how will you make this seat unique with the Thien Ho perspective? How will you make this unique to you should you be elected in June?
Definitely. So one of the things I want to do is I want to start an advisory council made up of different diverse communities. And I definitely want somebody who is Indian to be on that committee, because to really have a voice for the Indian community there with the district attorney's office. The DA is the highest law enforcement person in the entire county. So it's important to not only have a seat at the table, but to have a voice. And so I'm going to start an advisory committee made up of diverse members of different communities. I'd love to have somebody from the Indian community to represent the Indian community on that council.
That sounds wonderful. I'm sure a number of our viewers would want to volunteer their time for something like this, which is a very important work. So the election is in June. The ballots drop when? The
ballots will be arriving on tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So it'll be arriving tomorrow.
Okay, and so they have starting May...
tomorrow's May 10th.
So from May 10th all the way till the election day. Election day is when?
June 7th.
So from tomorrow till June 7th, they have an opportunity to cast their vote.
Yes. So definitely, when you cast your vote, go in there to the district attorney. You'll see my name, Thien Ho. That's Thien. It's pronounced Tin. Win with Tin. And the last name is Ho, H-O. I'm a supervising district attorney. And then you just fill out the ballot.
You fill out the ballot. So, you know, a couple of last questions that I think our viewers will want to know. You talked about this, putting together this group of bodies. Are there any other issues that you feel very passionate that perhaps our viewers might want to know?
Definitely. One of the big issues is homelessness.
Yes.
So how are we going to deal with homelessness? How have I dealt with homelessness? So homelessness has three parts in it. Obviously, there's a housing element. But the other two things that we need to talk about is mental health and drug addiction.
Yes.
We have to deal with both of those. So how do we do that? So at the DA's office, I oversee our community prosecution team. So one of the programs that we have is called the CORE program, C-O-R-E. So what happens is when a person commits a crime, it could be a petty theft, it could be a vandalism, a trespassing, any number of these offenses. Individually, each of those crimes, you know, the penalty isn't very much. But when you have somebody who's committed 5, 10 of them, and they're getting cited and released, we combine those cases together. We bring that person to court. They're in custody, in jail, and then they appear in front of the judge. And then what we say to the defendant is you can stay in jail and deal with these 10 cases, right? Or you can go into a drug treatment program.
Right.
If they accept a drug treatment program, we will take them, and we did this recently, and transport them to a rehab center, to a drug treatment center. If they run, if they escape, if they don't finish the program, they go back to jail. But if they finish the program, they don't have to do a single day in jail, but they get, in that case, they're put on probation, and we need to get them into housing. The other thing that we're doing is this, is people are getting released from the jail who are homeless. They don't have any services. They get released at 10 o'clock at night. I brought the business community, the board of supervisors, the sheriff's department, the public defender's office, and behavioral health in a room together. We talked about putting a counselor in there to evaluate the person and give them services before they leave in the jail. That's something that I've been doing. So right after the election, I plan to call a homeless summit, bringing the county, the city, community-based organizations, elected leaders, so that we can get in one room together and instead of working in silos, work together to solve this problem.
Absolutely. As mayor, I think that that is remarkable, and it is something we need to address collectively because we do work in silos, and unfortunately that's not working. So the worst thing you can do is try to fix a problem using the same solutions that have proven not to work.
Exactly.
So can you tell me a little bit about sort of the endorsements? Who's on Thien Ho team?
Well, on Team 10, number 1 is Mayor Bobbie Singh Allen, our
course.
mayor of Elko. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We also have Paul Sandhu, who's on the city council in Galt as well. I also have YK, who's our council member from the city of Folsom. So I have a number of Indian elected officials, Siri Bulapati, who is a council member in Rancho Cordova. But I have broad support from both sides of the aisle. And also, you know, I have our wonderful host here who's running this program. You've endorsed me as well, Mr. Singh. So thank you so much for your endorsement. And so from, you know, Punjab, so thank you so much. And so I have support from both sides. I also have the support from law enforcement. Every single law enforcement agency in Sacramento County has endorsed me. All the major ones, from Elk Grove Police Officers Association to the Sacramento Police Officers Association, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, the California Highway Patrol, and probation. So I have support from both sides of the aisle and both sides of the courtroom as well. But Bobbie, I put your endorsement right up there near the top. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was such an honor and privilege to support you because your shared experiences, your values are my values, and they are all of our values. You speak to that experience, that journey coming to this country, making this your home, and overcoming all of those obstacles. Our viewers, myself included, when I first spoke to you, I related to you immediately. You spoke to my heart. And that's why I was honored to support you. Any closing comments and just one more reminder of the election date? And I'll let you have the last few words.
I'm running for DA because the people of our community and our county needs to have somebody with the experience in the courtroom. I've tried nearly 100 jury trials. They need to have somebody with the experience in the executive room. I manage an $85 million budget of the DA's office, supervise hundreds of prosecutors. I also have the experience in the classroom because I've taught at McGeorge Law School, and I have the experience in the community, working with different community members like the mayor and other groups to really protect our community. So on June 7th, I am asking you to vote for Thien Ho for Sacramento District Attorney. And thank you so much to all my friends and supporters in the Indian community.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਜੂਨ 7 ਦੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੈਲਟਸ ਹੁਣ ਆਉਣ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਮੇਲ ਬਾਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਲ ਬਾਕਸ ਤੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਬੈਲਟਸ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਓ ਤਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਣੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਏ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਥੀਨ ਹੋ ਡਿਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟ ਅਟਾਰਨੀ ਦੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਹੁਣ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੋਟ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ ਥੀਨ ਹੋ ਦੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਵੋਟ ਦੇਣਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ